Chosen one. Pause for a moment and receive this with your spirit. You are not watching by chance. You were summoned. This message found you because a sealed page of your prophetic scroll is being unrolled right now in perfect Kairos timing. Heaven's clock has struck your appointed hour, and what was hidden is stepping into the light. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a destined moment. A divine unlocking, long prepared, long delayed, and carefully guarded, is ready to unfold. It may happen today, tonight, or in the coming days, but make no mistake, the season has shifted. As it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, there is a time for everything, and this is your time. Anointed one, God has been working in silence while you thought nothing was moving. What felt like waiting was alignment. What felt like loss was preparation. Now the vision is speaking. Just as Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 declares, the appointed time will not delay. It is moving toward you on heaven's schedule, not human expectation. Chosen one. This is not merely about romance or desire. This is about destiny meeting destiny. A covenant written before your birth is drawing near, and your spirit has already felt the shift. Prepare your heart. Expect confirmation. Expect movement. Expect peace where there was once uncertainty. In Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22, the Lord says, "In its time I will do it swiftly." And chosen one, this is that time. Chosen one, listen closely. What you could not see, heaven was already arranging. While you were questioning, waiting, and sometimes doubting yourself in the quiet hours of the night, God was shaping something precise, intentional, and sacred. This was never random. This was never rushed. This was divine accuracy at work. I want to say this slowly because your spirit needs to hear it. Nothing you walked through was wasted. Not the closed doors, not the prayers that felt unanswered, not the nights when you cried and wondered if you had missed your moment. I've been there myself, loving deeply, believing sincerely, and still watching things fall apart. And for a long time I thought something was wrong with me. But later I realized God was protecting what I couldn't yet see. Chosen one, before a name ever crossed your mind, before a face appeared in your dreams, heaven had already written the meeting. This connection was authored long before you were ready to recognize it. What felt like delay was not denial. It was preparation happening in layers, both for you and for the one being prepared for you. You were not forgotten in the silence. You were being refined. Just like Joseph, hidden away while his calling matured. Just like Ruth, faithfully showing up in an ordinary field while destiny was quietly moving toward her. Hidden seasons are not punishment. They are protection. And if you're honest, deep down you know this season changed you. It softened you. It stripped away what was shallow. It taught you discernment instead of desperation. Chosen one. This is important. God does not build covenant on urgency. He builds it on readiness. Right now, something is shifting. It's subtle but undeniable. You may not have words for it yet, but you feel it. A sense that something old is closing and something new is approaching. Maybe it shows up as dreams that linger longer than usual. Maybe it's a pull toward places, conversations, or decisions that don't make logical sense, but your spirit leans in anyway. That's not imagination, that's alignment. I remember a season in my own life where I felt restless without knowing why. Nothing was wrong yet. Everything felt like it was rearranging internally. I was drawn to pray deeper, clean my space, release certain people, even change my routines. At the time, it felt confusing. Looking back, it was God straightening paths I didn't know were about to intersect with someone else's. Chosen one. This is what divine orchestration feels like before it becomes visible. This person coming toward your life is not arriving to fix you. They are not coming to fill a void. They are not bringing chaos, confusion, or emotional guessing games. They are coming with clarity, with depth, with the kind of presence that doesn't excite your anxiety, but quiets it. Not because they are perfect, but because they have been through fire too. They have surrendered things you will never fully know. They have healed in places that once bled. They have waited in ways that reshaped them. And here's the truth most people don't talk about. They have felt you coming too. Not your name, not your face, but the essence of you. A sense that someone exists who will meet them in wholeness, not neediness. When your paths cross, it won't feel loud. It won't feel rushed. It won't feel like chasing clarity or decoding mixed signals. It will feel like recognition, like something ancient clicking into place, like peace arriving before explanation. Because when God writes a love story, it doesn't leave you anxious. It anchors you. This is how divine union unfolds, not through performance, not through proving, but through holy steadiness. The peace that Scripture speaks of, the kind that guards your heart and mind, that peace becomes the confirmation, not logic, not compatibility checklists. Peace, chosen one, hear me clearly, peace will be your sign. You do not need to perform to be chosen. You do not need to shrink to be loved. The right person will not be intimidated by your story. They will honor it. They will hold your vulnerability with reverence, not fear. What once felt like too much to others will feel like home to them. And while you were praying for love, they were praying for safety. While you were asking God for connection, they were asking for someone who would stay. Heaven is answering both prayers with one alignment. This person will not just stay, they will build. There will be days you feel weary and their strength will meet you. Moments when doubt whispers and their faith will speak louder. Times when life feels heavy and their prayers will lift the weight. Not because they rescue you, but because they walk with you. Chosen one. This is where legacy begins. This is where purpose deepens. So if things are shifting again, if comfort is giving way to stretching, do not panic. The ground is not collapsing beneath you. It is making room. Your steps are not random, they are ordered, and the love drawing near is sacred. Stay open, stay ready. What's coming is closer than you think. Chosen one. There is something you must understand now, because this is where many people misinterpret the season they are in. The person God has prepared for you is not a distant idea. They are not a someday promise floating in the future. They are already in motion. Their life is moving. Their heart is being aligned. Their steps are being ordered, even if neither of you can yet see how the paths will cross. This is not a waiting room season. This is a walking season. What felt like delay was divine design. I know that phrase can sound comforting but vague, so let me ground it in truth. There were doors that had to close because if they stayed open, they would have pulled you out of alignment. There were relationships that ended, not because you failed, but because they could not carry the weight of where you are going. There were silences that felt painful, but those silences were God removing noise so you could hear direction. Chosen one, you were not being denied, you were being redirected. I've had moments in my own life where I replayed conversations and choices, asking what if I had done that differently. But later, clarity came. Had those things worked out, I would have settled for familiarity instead of destiny. God was not withholding good from me. He was guarding something better. Right now, heaven has already moved. The atmosphere around your life is shifting. You may notice it in small ways. Old distractions no longer satisfy. Half-love no longer feels tolerable. Confusion irritates your spirit instead of exciting it. That's because clarity is approaching, and anything that does not match it must fall away. This is covenant being activated. The person being sent to you has their own refining story. They have had to let go of comfort illusions and relationships that looked right on the surface but left them empty inside. They too have walked away from versions of life that were good but not God. They have been refined not for perfection but for purpose. Like David tending sheep when no one was watching, they were hidden while their heart was being shaped. And right now, something is stirring in them. They may not know why they feel restless. They may not have language for the longing inside them. But they are not yearning for fantasy. They are yearning for substance, for truth, for something real. And though they do not yet know your name, they are being drawn by the same Spirit that has been guiding you. Scripture reminds us that God makes everything beautiful in its time, and that time is not rushed by human impatience. This person will not arrive asking you to shrink. They will not be threatened by your depth, your softness, or your strength. In fact, they have prayed for someone like you, someone anchored, honest, and alive in faith. They are not coming to test your heart. They are coming to protect it. Now hear this, carefully chosen one, because this is where discernment matters. They may not look like what you pictured. Their background may be unfamiliar. Their rhythm may challenge your comfort zone. Do not miss them because they arrive outside your expectations. Remember how David was overlooked because he did not look the part. God sees differently. God chooses differently, and so will the one he sends. This person will recognize you by your spirit, not your performance. Their presence will not create anxiety. It will settle you. Their pursuit will not feel like pressure. It will feel like peace. And if fear whispers, "What if I'm not ready?" remind yourself that readiness is not about perfection. It is about alignment. You are not behind. You have not missed it. You are not too broken, too complicated, or too late. Grace is meeting you exactly where you are, and it will carry you forward. They have been asking God not just for a partner, but for someone whose prayers echo theirs, someone whose vision aligns, someone whose heart knows how to stay when things are no longer new. And in you, they will not just see beauty, they will see home. When they arrive, you will know. Not because of butterflies or emotional highs, but because of peace. The kind of peace that steadies instead of shouts. The kind that reassures instead of rushes. This will not be chaos disguised as passion. It will be presence marked by trust. This is how divine wisdom reveals itself. It is pure. It is gentle. It produces good fruit. That is how you will recognize it. So if the ground beneath you feels like it is shifting again, do not assume something is breaking. Something is being built. This is not fantasy. This is future. Something written by God's hand long before you knew how to ask for it. Let your heart believe again, not in perfect conditions or human timelines, but in a God who restores, renews, and makes all things new. Chosen one. We are approaching a sacred turning point. This is not just another chapter. It is a divine unveiling. And this is not just about romance. It is about restoration. Joy returning where survival once lived. Purpose awakening where endurance once ruled. God is not sending you a distraction. He is sending you someone aligned, anointed, and carrying purpose alongside love. And if you have felt the urge to declutter, to pray deeper, to move differently, to let go quietly without drama, that is not coincidence. That is preparation. Heaven is reordering your life not to punish you but to prepare you. What felt like loss was clearing. What felt like silence was construction. This time love will not drain you. It will not require you to diminish yourself. It will not compete with God in your life. It will confirm Him. It will bring beauty where ashes once were joy, where mourning once lingered. Not perfection, but peace. Not performance, but presence. Not fantasy, but fruit. Chosen. One, stay with me. What comes next will bring even more clarity. Chosen one, this is where the message becomes personal, not poetic, not symbolic, practical and prophetic at the same time. Because when heaven moves, it always invites a response, and the response is not panic. It is preparation. I want you to hear this clearly. Preparation is not desperation. It is expectation. There is a difference between waiting with folded hands and preparing with surrendered hands. Right now, your spirit is being trained to move before the promise becomes visible. This is how faith works. Faith does not wait for evidence to act. Faith aligns first. I remember a season where nothing had arrived yet, but something inside me knew it was close. I could not explain it logically. There was no announcement, no sign I could point to. But my habits started changing. I prayed differently. I cleaned differently. I showed up to life differently. At the time, I thought I was just trying to be better. Looking back, I was responding to a promise already in motion. Chosen one, that is what is happening to you now. If you have noticed sudden shifts in your heart, a desire to clean your space, to fast, to pray deeper, to grow emotionally, to face things you once avoided, that is not coincidence. That is faith responding to alignment. Your soul is preparing because it senses what is approaching. Just as the Israelites consecrated themselves before entering the Promised Land, you are being invited into consecration, not out of fear, but out of expectation. These are not habits of lack. These are acts of trust. What is coming will not be almost. It will not be a recycled version of past heartbreak. It will exceed what you dared to imagine. Scripture reminds us that God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, not according to our striving, but according to His power at work within us. And that power works best in surrendered spaces. So do not resist the stretching. Do not fight the silence. Do not doubt the timing. Your obedience has not gone unseen. The God who preserved Noah before the flood and prepared Mary before the miracle is preparing you for something just as holy. This love will surprise you. It may come in a form you did not expect. Different background, different rhythm, different voice, but it will speak your soul's language fluently. And though unfamiliar at first, it will feel like home, not to your comfort zone, but to your spirit. Because this connection is not built on appearance, it is built on assignment. Chosen one, you are not waiting in vain. Heaven is not withholding. You are being positioned. And when it comes, it will feel less like arrival and more like remembrance. Your soul will say, I've known this. Not because you imagined it, but because it was written into you. You were never forgotten. You were reserved. What is ahead is not fragile. It is not a tease. It is the manifestation of God's faithful hand, a love crafted in eternity and released in time. So prepare with expectation. Rest in assurance. And when the door opens, do not be surprised if everything finally makes sense. Not because love arrived, but because God never left. Now let this truth settle in. You are not waiting. You are preparing. This is not a passive season. This is a season of intentional movement. The atmosphere around you is shifting to make room for what is coming. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is alignment in action. Think about Noah. He built an ark when there was no rain. His preparation looked foolish to people who could only see the present. But his obedience proved his trust. In the same way, the life you are building now should reflect the future you are expecting. Start showing up as if the promise is already unfolding. Wake with purpose. Invite God into the small moments, not just general prayers, but focused surrender. Ask Him to shape you into the person your future covenant will need, not just emotionally, but spiritually. If you long for depth in a partner, let God deepen you first. Healing wisdom, emotional maturity. These are not gifts you receive after love arrives. They are foundations you are called to build now. That means facing the hidden corners of your heart, letting God into the wounds you learned to guard. Healing does not begin in the presence of another person. It begins in the presence of God. Until you stop hiding, you cannot fully receive what is meant to find you. Even the small details matter: your home, your habits, your time. These are not insignificant. They are sacred spaces where faith meets practice. Clean your space not for appearances, but as an act of prophecy. Like the woman who prepared a room for the prophet before he arrived, you are preparing a life that welcomes the promise before it knocks. Take inventory of your circle. Not everyone can walk with you into the next season. Some connections were only meant to carry you this far. Surround yourself with people who protect your peace, sharpen your faith, and speak life into your calling even when you doubt it. Refinement may look like boundaries, therapy, letting go of old expectations, choosing obedience over comfort. These small obediences prepare you for the weight of covenant. Be faithful with what is in your hands now: your time, your voice, your resources. Show God you can steward what you are asking Him to multiply later, and do not hide, not from purpose, not from calling, not from community. God does not need a stage to orchestrate a divine connection, but He does need your availability. Your partner may find you while you are fully living, not tucked away waiting to be discovered, but moving in alignment with heaven's pace. When insecurity whispers lies that you are too late, too much, too complicated, answer with truth. All your days were written before one of them came to be. That includes this one. You are right on time. Chosen one. This is not the season to entertain distractions disguised as affection. If it costs your peace, it is not sent by God. If it confuses your identity, it is not covenant. Let the counterfeits fall away. You do not need to chase what God is sending. You only need to stay in position to receive it. Stay with me. What comes next will bring the final alignment into focus. Chosen one. There is a sacred shift happening now, and it is deeper than anticipation. This is not only about what God is sending toward you. It is about who you are becoming as heaven prepares to release it. Destiny is never one-sided. Covenant is not just received, it is sustained. And right now, God is shaping you into the kind of vessel that can carry what you have been asking for. Here is a truth that changed my own life when I finally understood it. You are not only waiting for a promise, you are being formed to hold it. Many people desire divine partnership, but few are willing to undergo the quiet inner work required to sustain it. God is merciful, but He is also wise. He does not rush blessings into hands that are still learning how to steward peace, truth, and responsibility. This season is not about proving worth, it is about developing capacity. Chosen one, you are becoming the answer to someone else's prayer. While you are praying for a partner who is emotionally mature, spiritually grounded, and faithful in adversity, God is asking you to grow in those same places. While you are asking for someone who communicates with clarity and loves with intention, heaven is refining your voice, your boundaries, and your discernment. This is why certain patterns have been breaking lately. Old reactions no longer fit. Old tolerances feel uncomfortable. What you once excused now unsettles your spirit. That is growth. That is alignment. I remember a time when God asked me to release relationships that were not toxic, but simply incomplete. That was one of the hardest lessons for me, learning that something can be good and still not be God. Letting go was painful, but holding on would have cost me clarity, and clarity is expensive. It costs you comfort, familiarity, and sometimes approval, but it gives you peace. Chosen one, peace is the currency of covenant. The person God is aligning with you will not thrive in chaos. They will not bond through dysfunction. They will recognize you through peace, consistency, and truth. That is why God has been removing environments, habits, and connections that keep you emotionally reactive or spiritually distracted. This is not isolation. This is consecration. Consecration is when God sets something apart, not to deprive it, but to protect it. Just as certain vessels in the temple were reserved for sacred use, only your heart is being marked for something holy. Not everything gets access anymore, not every conversation, not every affection, not every invitation. Chosen one, if you have felt more selective lately, more guarded with your energy, more intentional with your time, that is wisdom awakening. This season may feel quieter than others, but quiet does not mean inactive. In the spirit, much is being written. Assignments are being activated. Alignments are forming beyond your awareness. What looks still on the surface is moving with precision underneath. And here is something you may not expect. The one God is sending is also in a season of preparation. They are being taught lessons that will one day bless you. They are being healed in ways that will make them safe for your heart. They are learning obedience that will one day protect your future. Just as Abraham left what was familiar to follow a promise he could not yet see, they too are leaving behind versions of life that no longer fit. Their obedience is aligning with your prayers, even though neither of you can see the full picture yet. Chosen one, heaven is synchronizing obedience. When your paths cross, there will not be confusion. God is not the author of mixed signals. There will be calm. There will be consistency. There will be clarity that does not require chasing. It may not be flawless, but it will be rooted. You will feel safe known without needing to explain, seen without needing to strive. Safety is not boring. Safety is sacred. And if you have noticed God drawing you into deeper practices, prayer that feels more honest, worship that feels more personal, stillness that feels necessary, do not ignore that invitation. Those are not rituals. Those are recalibrations. Your soul is learning how to live from alignment instead of urgency. Chosen one, urgency rushes. Alignment waits without anxiety. This is why God has been teaching you patience without passivity. You are learning to move when He says move, not when fear pushes you. You are learning to rest without giving up. You are learning to trust without needing constant reassurance. These are covenant skills. The love coming toward you will not need you to abandon your calling. It will not ask you to compromise your faith. It will not require you to shrink your voice or silence your discernment. Instead, it will amplify what God has already placed inside you. This union will not distract you from purpose. It will deepen it. I want you to imagine a love that strengthens your obedience instead of competing with it. A partnership where prayer is natural, not forced. Where growth is mutual, not one-sided. Where accountability feels safe, not threatening. That is what God is preparing. And here is the part that may stretch you. You must allow God to finish the work in you without rushing the reward. Premature connection can delay destiny, but timely alignment accelerates it. Chosen one, do not negotiate with loneliness. Do not compromise with impatience. What God is building is worth protecting. If you feel the urge to bless your future spouse in prayer, follow it. Cover them even without knowing their name. Ask God to guard their heart, guide their steps, and strengthen their faith. That is not imagination. That is spiritual agreement forming across time and distance. Just as Isaac met Rebekah by divine appointment, not by striving, your union is being aligned by hands greater than yours. So keep building, keep praying, keep showing up. Not to earn love because you are already worthy, not to prove value because you already have it, but because love is already in motion. This is not just preparation. This is prophecy unfolding. You are not merely waiting to be chosen. You are becoming the answer to someone's prayer. Stay with me, chosen one. The final movement is near. Chosen one, we are now approaching the most delicate part of this journey, because this is where timing and trust must walk together. This is the place where many people grow weary, not because God is silent, but because the promise is close enough to test their patience. What you are feeling now is not emptiness. It is tension before fulfillment. I want to tell you something gently but clearly. The door you have been praying for does not open suddenly without preparation. It opens after alignment, and alignment is happening now. You may have noticed that your tolerance for confusion has dropped. Situations that once kept you stuck no longer hold power over you. You are less willing to entertain half-commitments, vague intentions, or affection without direction. That is not bitterness. That is discernment maturing. Chosen one. God is teaching you how to recognize what is real. When the right connection approaches, it will not require you to decode mixed signals. It will not pull you into emotional highs and lows. It will not make you anxious about where you stand. Instead, it will bring calm clarity, not because there are no challenges, but because the foundation is secure. I remember a season when I thought passion was proof of destiny. I confused intensity with intimacy and excitement with alignment. But God, in His mercy, allowed those seasons to end so I could learn the difference between attachment and assignment. What comes from God may still stretch you, but it will never steal your peace. Chosen one. Peace is how heaven confirms direction. When the door opens, it will not feel like interruption. It will feel like recognition, not a dramatic collision, but a quiet knowing. Your spirit will register it before your mind does. You will not need to chase certainty. It will be present in the consistency, the follow-through, the way words and actions agree. This is important. Divine connections do not rely on potential. They operate in truth. The person God is bringing into your life will not ask you to wait and see if they are ready. They will come prepared to build, not experiment. They will not treat your heart like a testing ground. They will treat it like holy ground. That does not mean perfection. It means intention. Chosen one intention is rare. That is why God protects it. This is also why the season before alignment often feels like pruning. God removes what looks alive but produces no fruit. He clears space, not because He wants to take from you, but because what is coming needs room to grow. If you have experienced sudden endings, unexpected distance, or emotional clarity that came after loss, that was not chaos. That was preparation. God was making sure nothing would compete with the covenant He is preparing to release. And let me say this clearly because many people misunderstand it. This does not mean you were wrong for wanting love sooner. It means God wanted you healed enough to sustain it longer. Chosen. One timing is not about punishment, it is about preservation. Right now, heaven is not asking you to strive harder. It is asking you to trust deeper. Trust that God sees the full picture. Trust that He knows when you are ready, even when you doubt yourself. Trust that He has not forgotten the cries you whispered in private. I know what it is like to wonder if something good can still come after disappointment. To ask yourself if you are too guarded now, too cautious, too changed. But hear this, the love God is sending will not require you to unlearn wisdom. It will honor it. You will not need to abandon discernment to receive this blessing. You will not need to silence your intuition. In fact, your discernment will recognize them before your fear can interfere. Chosen one. This is where surrender becomes essential. Surrender does not mean giving up desire. It means releasing control over how and when it arrives. It means trusting that God's way may look different from your expectations, but it will feel right in your spirit. When the door opens, you may look back and realize how many things had to fall into place. Conversations that ended, habits that changed, healing that deepened. You will see that God was not slow, He was thorough. And when that realization comes, gratitude replaces frustration. I want you to prepare your heart for this. When alignment arrives, it will challenge you to stay present. Past wounds may try to speak. Old fears may surface, not because something is wrong, but because something real is beginning. Do not let yesterday's pain dictate today's obedience. Chosen one, you are allowed to receive without fear. You are allowed to hope without anxiety. You are allowed to trust again without shame. The love God is sending will not erase your past, but it will redeem it. It will not make you forget what you survived, but it will remind you why you did not give up. It will feel less like excitement and more like peace settling into your bones. That is how you will know. Not fireworks, not chasing, not confusion. Peace. Until that moment fully arrives, remain faithful where you are. Continue becoming the person you would want to build a life with. Continue choosing integrity in small decisions. Continue honoring your own boundaries. These are not delays. These are confirmations. Chosen one, heaven does not rush what it values. And remember this, as you move forward, you do not need to force what God is sending. What is meant for you will recognize you by the peace you carry, not the effort you exert. So walk gently, stay available, keep your heart open, but guarded with wisdom. The door is already opening even if you cannot see it yet. And when it does, everything will make sense. Stay ready, chosen one. The fulfillment is closer than it feels. Chosen one, I need you to pay attention to what your spirit has been sensing lately, because this part is subtle, and subtle things are often the most divine. There is a calm forming inside you that does not come from certainty, evidence, or answers. It comes from alignment, and alignment always arrives before manifestation. That peace you feel even when circumstances have not fully changed is not random, it is prophetic. God often sends peace ahead of provision. He sends assurance before arrival. He settles the heart before He settles the situation. This is how heaven prepares you to recognize what is real when it appears. I want to share something personal here. There was a time when nothing in my external life looked resolved, but internally I felt strangely steady. The anxiety that used to dominate my prayers was gone. I wasn't celebrating yet, but I wasn't afraid anymore. That was the moment I later realized God had already answered. I just hadn't seen the evidence yet. Chosen one. Peace is often the first evidence. This is why the connection God is sending will not come with emotional chaos. It will not feel like confusion disguised as excitement. It will feel safe, grounded, familiar in a way that does not rely on memory but recognition. When God aligns two lives, He does not create urgency. He creates order. This is also why some of your old patterns no longer work. You cannot overthink your way into this. You cannot rush your way into covenant. The striving that once felt normal now feels exhausting because your spirit has matured. You are no longer wired for survival mode love. Chosen one, you are wired for peace. The person being prepared for you has gone through a similar rewiring. They have learned that intensity is not intimacy, that consistency matters more than chemistry, that love rooted in truth lasts longer than passion rooted in fear. When your paths cross, you will notice something immediately. There will be clarity without pressure. Conversation will flow without performance. Silence will not feel awkward. It will feel restful. That is not coincidence. That is alignment revealing itself. This is why God has been teaching you to slow down. Slowing down does not mean losing momentum. It means learning discernment. When you slow down, you notice fruit instead of promises. You observe patterns instead of words. You see whether someone's presence brings peace or drains it. Chosen one discernment is love's protector. The next season of your life requires emotional sobriety, not guardedness fueled by fear, but wisdom shaped by healing. God is not calling you to close your heart. He is calling you to anchor it. Anchored hearts do not panic when things are unclear. They wait without anxiety. They trust without clinging. They move when God says move. That is who you are becoming. This is also why certain temptations may appear right before alignment. Old patterns, familiar distractions, attention that flatters but does not build. These are not punishments. They are tests of clarity. The enemy does not need to destroy what God is building if he can simply distract it. Chosen one, do not confuse attention with assignment. If something costs your peace, it is not from God. If it creates confusion about your identity, it is not covenant. If it pulls you away from prayer purpose or obedience, it is not alignment. God's best does not compete with him. As you grow more rooted, you may notice fewer options, but greater clarity. That is not loss, that is focus. God often narrows the path before revealing the destination. And let me say this clearly, the love God is sending will not arrive to replace God's presence in your life. It will complement it. You will not have to choose between your calling and companionship. You will not have to diminish your faith to sustain connection. Instead, your faith will deepen. There will be moments where you look back and realize how protected you were, how certain things ended before they could damage you, how unanswered prayers were acts of mercy, how silence saved you from settling. Chosen one. God was not withholding love, he was withholding wounds. The peace you are experiencing now is your spirit recognizing that the season has shifted. You are no longer pleading for alignment, you are walking in it. Even if nothing external has changed yet internally, you are standing in a different posture. And posture matters in the spirit. Posture determines what you can receive. A clenched heart cannot hold covenant. An anxious heart cannot steward peace. But a surrendered heart, a heart that trusts, becomes fertile ground for divine union. This is why God has been inviting you into stillness. Less noise, less explaining, less forcing, more listening, more presence, more trust. Stillness is not inactivity, it is sensitivity. Chosen one, you are becoming sensitive to heaven's timing. When the moment arrives, you will not need convincing. You will not need reassurance from others. Something in you will know, not because everything is perfect, but because everything is aligned. That knowing will feel calm, not dramatic. Do not underestimate calm. Calm is where God often speaks loudest. As you continue forward, guard this peace. Do not hand it to anything that cannot sustain it. Do not negotiate it away for temporary comfort. What you carry now is valuable. It is the evidence that your season of striving has ended. You are not chasing love anymore. You are preparing to receive it. Chosen one, remain available, remain obedient, remain open. The alignment is real, the peace is intentional, and what is coming will meet you exactly where you are. Stay still, stay ready. Heaven is closer than you think. Chosen one. This is a pivotal place in the journey, and it requires your full attention. Not because something dramatic is about to happen outwardly, but because something decisive is happening inwardly. This is the moment where discernment becomes protection and wisdom becomes your closest companion. Right now, God is sharpening your ability to recognize what is aligned and what is merely familiar. Familiarity can be dangerous when destiny is near. It tempts you to return to what you already know instead of stepping into what you were prepared for. This is why some old patterns, people, or emotions may try to resurface now. Not because they belong in your future, but because they recognize they no longer have authority over you. Chosen one resistance often increases right before release. You may notice thoughts like, "What if I'm wrong?" or "What if nothing actually happens?" These thoughts are not signs of doubt. They are invitations to trust deeper. Faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing alignment even when answers are incomplete. I want to ground this with honesty. There was a season in my life where the very thing I prayed for was near, yet I almost sabotaged it by returning to what felt emotionally safe but spiritually limiting. Comfort can masquerade as peace if you're not discerning, but true peace never pulls you backward. Chosen one. God's peace leads forward. This is why discernment now feels more intense. You are being trained to pause before responding, to pray before reacting, to listen before deciding. That pause is not hesitation, it is wisdom. The more aligned you become, the less impulsive your decisions will be. And here is something crucial. Discernment is not suspicion, it is clarity without fear. You are not being asked to interrogate every connection or analyze every interaction. You are being asked to notice fruit. Does something bring clarity or confusion? Does it strengthen your faith or dilute it? Does it bring peace to your spirit or unrest to your soul? Chosen one fruit reveals roots. The person God is sending will not require you to ignore red flags. There will be alignment, not ambiguity. That does not mean there will be no growth, but growth will feel constructive, not destabilizing. You will not have to convince yourself that something is right. You will recognize it. This is why God has been teaching you to trust your inner witness again. Your discernment was never broken. It was simply buried under survival. Now that healing has taken place, your discernment is resurfacing with clarity and strength. Pay attention to how your body responds now. Peace settles your breathing. Alignment steadies your thoughts. Truth feels grounding even when it stretches you. These are not emotional reactions. They are spiritual confirmations. Chosen one. God speaks through peace more often than through noise. This is also the season where you must guard against comparison. Do not measure your journey against someone else's timeline. Do not interpret another person's relationship as evidence that you are behind. Heaven does not rush based on observation. Heaven moves based on readiness. I have learned that the most dangerous voice in transitional seasons is the voice that says, "Everyone else is moving but me." That voice does not come from God. God speaks assurance, not accusation. He speaks direction, not pressure. Chosen one, your story is not late, it is precise. This precision is why God has allowed certain things to unfold slowly. Rushed connections create fragile foundations. God is building something that can endure wait seasons and responsibility. Right now, heaven is watching how you steward peace. Do you protect it, or do you trade it for attention? Do you honor it, or do you silence it to avoid discomfort? These choices matter more than you realize. There is a level of maturity that comes when you stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Does this align with who God is shaping me to be?" That shift changes everything. It moves you from approval, seeking to purpose alignment. Chosen one. Alignment always costs ego, but it rewards the soul. If someone enters your life and asks you to compromise your healing, minimize your boundaries, or rush your discernment, that is not destiny. Destiny honors growth. Destiny respects process. Destiny moves with clarity, and here is the assurance you need to hear: you will not miss what God has ordained for you. What is meant for you will meet you in obedience, not confusion. You are not required to chase divine alignment. You are required to remain faithful and discerning. God does not hide his best behind anxiety. As you continue forward, remain anchored in prayer, but do not over-spiritualize every moment. Live your life fully, serve faithfully, love deeply, show up honestly. Divine connections often occur while you are living aligned, not while you are waiting anxiously. The person God is sending will find you in obedience, not obsession. And when you recognize them, it will not feel like relief alone. It will feel like confirmation. Your spirit will rest, not race. Your heart will open, not guard itself in fear. This is how discernment confirms destiny. Chosen one, stay awake but not anxious. Stay open but not unguarded. Stay hopeful but not impatient. You are walking through a narrow passage right now, and narrow passages always lead somewhere sacred. What you choose in this season determines what you will carry into the next. Guard your peace, trust your discernment, remain aligned. The next part of this journey will bring revelation, not confusion. Stay ready, chosen one. Heaven is still speaking, chosen one. We have now reached a place where many people misunderstand what God is asking of them. This is not a season of effort, it is a season of surrender. And surrender, when rightly understood, is not weakness, it is authority under alignment. There is a quiet strength forming in you now. You are no longer driven by urgency, fear, or the need to control outcomes. You are learning how to release timelines without releasing hope. That is spiritual maturity. I want to be very clear here: surrender does not mean passivity. It means trusting God enough to stop forcing what He has already promised to arrange. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I prayed sincerely, but underneath those prayers was a hidden need to manage the outcome. I wanted God's will, but on my schedule. And every time I tried to help God by pushing doors, explaining myself, or staying where I should have walked away, I delayed peace. Not because God was punishing me, but because I had stepped out of alignment. Chosen one surrender always restores alignment. Right now, God is teaching you how to hold desire without anxiety. That is rare. Most people either suppress desire to avoid disappointment or cling to it so tightly that it becomes fear-driven. But you are learning a third way, trusting God while staying emotionally present. This is why you feel calmer yet more aware. You are not numb. You are anchored. And here is the truth you need to hear. God does not need you to manage the connection He is sending. He needs you to remain available, obedient, and surrendered. The person being aligned with you is not finding you by accident. They are being drawn by the same obedience that has been shaping you. Your surrender is creating spiritual visibility. You may feel unseen in the natural, but in the spirit, alignment shines. Chosen one, heaven recognizes obedience. This is also why God has been asking you to lay certain things down: expectations, assumptions, even images of how you thought this would look. Not because those desires were wrong, but because some of them were too small. God is not limited by your imagination, but He is often limited by your attachment to it. When you surrender the how, you make room for the who. I know that can be uncomfortable. Control feels safer than trust when you have been disappointed before. But here, this control is often a response to fear, not wisdom. Wisdom rests. Wisdom listens. Wisdom waits for confirmation instead of forcing certainty. Chosen one, the peace you feel now is proof that surrender is working. This surrender is also refining your prayers. You are no longer praying from desperation. You are praying from agreement. You are not begging God to move. You are aligning yourself with what He is already doing, and that changes everything. When alignment replaces striving, your discernment sharpens. You no longer feel pressure to entertain distractions. You can say no without guilt. You can walk away without explanation. You can trust silence without assuming abandonment. That is power. The love God is preparing for you will meet you in this surrendered posture. It will not require performance. It will not thrive on insecurity. It will recognize you by the peace you carry and the integrity you protect. Chosen one, surrender prepares you for recognition. This is also the season where God may ask you to bless what you have not yet seen, to pray for the one you have not yet met, to release gratitude for what is still forming. That may feel strange to your logic, but it aligns with faith. Faith does not wait for proof to praise. Faith praises because it trusts the promise. I remember a moment when I started thanking God for clarity before I had it, for peace before it was visible, for alignment before it arrived. That shift did not change God, it changed me. It prepared my heart to receive without fear. Chosen one. Gratitude is a posture of readiness. As you surrender, you may notice a deeper trust forming in your body, not just your thoughts. Your breathing steadies, your reactions soften. You respond instead of react. These are not personality changes. These are spiritual alignments manifesting in the natural. This is why surrender feels like rest. Rest does not mean inactivity. It means confidence that God is at work, even when you are not managing every detail. It means showing up to life fully without carrying the weight of outcomes. Chosen one rest is resistance against fear. Fear says, if I don't control this, I will lose it. Faith says, if God ordained this, I cannot miss it. That is the truth anchoring you now. The connection God is bringing will not require you to abandon this rest. If something pulls you out of peace, demands constant reassurance, or feeds insecurity, it is not alignment. God's best does not require you to become anxious to keep it. Instead, God's best will meet you in rest and invite you into deeper trust. This is why surrender now matters so much. You are learning how to hold blessing without gripping it, how to love without fear, how to stay open without losing discernment. These are covenant qualities. As you continue forward, resist the urge to rush clarity. Allow God to reveal things in layers. Divine revelation often unfolds gradually, not suddenly. Each layer prepares you for the next. Chosen one, you are not missing anything. You are being prepared for everything. Let surrender continue its work. Let trust deepen. Let peace settle fully. The next movement will not be forced. It will be revealed. Stay surrendered. Stay aligned. Stay open. Heaven is not asking you to strive anymore. It is inviting you to receive. Chosen one, there is a sacred order to how God reveals what He has ordained. First comes recognition, then comes confirmation. Many people expect signs before peace, clarity, before alignment, or explanation before obedience. But heaven does not move that way. Heaven moves spirit first, then structure. What is approaching your life will not announce itself loudly. It will not demand your attention through urgency or emotional intensity. It will be recognized quietly, deeply, almost instinctively. Before you can explain it, you will sense it. This is because recognition happens in the spirit, not the intellect. I want to tell you something I learned through experience. When something is from God, your spirit knows before your history can interfere, before past wounds can speak, before fear can analyze. Recognition comes as a calm knowing, not a rush of emotion. Chosen one. Recognition feels like familiarity without memory. You may find yourself thinking, I don't know why, but this feels right. Not because everything is perfect, but because nothing inside you is resisting. Your body relaxes, your breath deepens, your thoughts slow. These are not random responses. They are alignment signaling safety. This is why God has been healing your nervous system as much as your heart. You are learning how to respond to peace instead of intensity. You are learning how to trust what steadies you instead of what excites you. That is maturity. That is readiness. The person God is aligning with you will feel different from what you are used to. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, not consuming. They will feel present, attentive, grounded. Their consistency will speak louder than their words. Their integrity will be visible in small things. Chosen. One recognition will come through fruit, not promises. Before there is a label, there will be alignment. Before there is definition, there will be direction. Before there is confirmation, there will be peace. This is important because confirmation often comes later. Confirmation unfolds through time, obedience, and consistency. But recognition is immediate. It does not need proof to know. I remember meeting people in my past who excited me but left me unsettled. I mistook adrenaline for connection. But when something truly aligned arrived, it did not demand energy. It restored it. That was how I knew it was different. Chosen one. God's best does not drain you. This is why the next season of your life will require patience without hesitation. Recognition may happen quickly, but confirmation requires walking it out. God confirms through patterns, not moments. Through faithfulness, not flashes. Do not rush to define what God is revealing. Allow it to unfold. This is also why God has been slowing your pace. He is teaching you how to stay present without projecting into the future. Projection often comes from fear of losing, fear of missing, fear of disappointment. But alignment does not need projection. It trusts process. Chosen one process protects promise. When recognition happens, guard it with prayer, not pressure. Let God confirm what He has initiated. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to explain it. What is from God will stand without defense. This is where discernment and patience walk together. The enemy often tries to rush what God is revealing slowly, not to stop it, but to distort it. Rushing bypasses wisdom. Rushing creates unnecessary pressure. Rushing invites confusion. Chosen one, do not rush recognition into conclusion. Give space for God to speak through time. Pay attention to whether peace remains. Notice whether clarity grows. Observe whether alignment deepens. These are signs of confirmation forming. And here is something crucial. Confirmation will not contradict recognition. It will strengthen it. God will use circumstances, counsel, and consistency to confirm what your spirit already sensed. He will make paths straight. He will remove confusion. He will bring alignment that does not require striving. This is why God has been training you to wait without anxiety, to trust without gripping, to listen without reacting. You are learning how to walk in discernment without suspicion. Chosen one, this is holy ground. As recognition turns into confirmation, your faith will deepen, not weaken. You will not feel like you are losing yourself. You will feel more like yourself, more grounded, more present, more aligned with who God created you to be. That is how you know it is right. And if at any point peace begins to fade, do not ignore that. Peace is not fragile, but it is honest. It will speak when something is off. God's guidance does not disappear suddenly. It gently redirects. Chosen one, trust the peace you have been given. You are not being led by emotion anymore. You are being led by alignment. That shift is everything. Recognition is already forming, confirmation is coming, and between the two is a sacred space of trust. Stay present in that space. Do not rush ahead. Do not look back. Do not compare. What God is doing in your life is precise. You are not guessing anymore. You are discerning, and that discernment will lead you safely into what God has prepared. Stay still, chosen one. The confirmation will speak in time. Chosen one. This is the moment many people pray for, but few are prepared to steward. Recognition has happened. Confirmation is forming. Now comes the invitation that requires courage, movement without hesitation. When God confirms something, He does not do it to tease you. He confirms to activate obedience. This is where faith leaves the internal realm and begins to shape your choices. Not rushed choices, not impulsive ones, but intentional steps aligned with what heaven has already settled. I need you to hear this clearly. Hesitation after confirmation is often fear disguised as wisdom. There is a difference between discernment and delay. Discernment waits for peace. Delay ignores it. I learned this lesson through experience. There was a season where God made something unmistakably clear to me. The peace was there. The alignment was there. The confirmation came through repeated consistency, counsel, and clarity. But I hesitated not because I lacked faith, but because I feared losing control. I wanted one more sign, one more reassurance, one more layer of certainty, and in that hesitation, I felt peace begin to thin. Chosen one. Peace does not chase you. It accompanies obedience. When heaven confirms, it is an invitation to trust what God has already revealed, not blindly, but faithfully. Confirmation does not remove all risk. It removes confusion. There will still be unknowns, but there will no longer be unrest. This is why God has been strengthening your inner confidence, not confidence in outcomes, but confidence in His voice. You are learning to move because God said move, not because circumstances feel perfect. Chosen one. Obedience is rarely convenient, but it is always clarifying. As you step into the next phase, you may notice something surprising. Fear may try to speak louder right when clarity increases. That does not mean you are wrong. It means the decision matters. Fear always protests when authority shifts. But remember, this fear does not get the final word. Peace does. When God confirms alignment, He also provides grace to walk it out. You will not be left to figure it out alone. Provision follows obedience. Wisdom follows humility. Strength follows surrender. This is also where accountability becomes important. God does not confirm in isolation. He often uses wise counsel, repeated patterns, and inner consistency to strengthen what He has spoken. Pay attention to what keeps repeating, not what flatters you, but what grounds you. Chosen one, heaven confirms through alignment, not hype. Now let me say something gently but directly. Do not wait for perfection to act. Perfection is not the goal. Faithfulness is. Waiting for everything to feel flawless can become an excuse to stay safe when God is calling you forward. If God waited for us to be perfect, nothing would ever move. Instead, He waits for us to be willing to trust, willing to move, willing to risk obedience over comfort. This is where many miss divine timing, not because they disbelieve, but because they over-delay. They keep asking God to repeat what He has already confirmed. Chosen one, repetition is not always reassurance. Sometimes it is resistance. If peace remains, if alignment holds, if confirmation continues, move. Movement does not mean rushing ahead. It means taking the next right step. Sometimes that step is a conversation. Sometimes it is a boundary. Sometimes it is a decision to show up honestly instead of hiding behind fear. God rarely asks for the whole path at once. He asks for the next step. And here is the promise anchored beneath this moment. When you move in obedience, God meets you in motion. He adjusts as you walk. He redirects if needed. He protects what you place in His hands. But He cannot guide what refuses to move. Chosen one, this is where trust becomes visible. Trust is not what you feel, it is what you do with what God has shown you. As confirmation settles, do not let old narratives steal your courage. You are not too late. You are not too much. You are not too broken. Those lies belong to seasons that have already ended. You are walking in a new posture now, one shaped by healing, discernment, and surrender. This posture is what qualifies you. When heaven confirms, heaven also empowers. You will find words when you need them. Wisdom will rise when decisions come. Strength will meet you at the point of action, not before. God often waits until you step to reveal the next layer. Chosen one, clarity increases in motion, and if you stumble, grace is there. Obedience is not about flawless execution. It is about faithful direction. God is not measuring you by perfection. He is honoring your willingness. As you move forward, keep this anchor in your heart. What God confirms, He commits to sustain. He does not abandon what He ordains. So when confirmation comes, do not freeze. Do not retreat. Do not negotiate with fear. Move with peace. Move with humility. Move with trust. Heaven is not watching to see if you fail. Heaven is ready to support you as you obey. Chosen one, this is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of embodiment. What was once a promise is becoming practice. What was once a word is becoming a walk. And as you move, everything will continue to align. Stay obedient. Stay grounded. Stay brave. Heaven has confirmed. Now walk in it. Chosen one. Now we arrive at a truth that must be spoken gently but clearly. What God is bringing into your life is sacred, but sacred things require stewardship. This is not a fairy tale moment meant to be admired from a distance. This is a covenant meant to be carried with wisdom, humility, and ongoing surrender. Many people celebrate arrival but forget responsibility. I want you to hear this without fear. Divine alignment does not remove the need for effort. It redeems it. It gives effort direction instead of anxiety. It transforms work from striving into stewardship. When this union begins to unfold, you may feel relief first. Relief that the waiting is over. Relief that peace has arrived. Relief that recognition has become tangible. That relief is a gift, but it is not the destination. It is the doorway. Chosen one. What God brings to you, He trusts you to tend. This is where maturity matters. Covenant is not sustained by feelings alone. Feelings initiate connection, but values sustain it. Consistency builds what chemistry cannot. Faithfulness carries what passion cannot hold on its own. I have seen people miss what God gave them because they expected ease instead of growth. They assumed alignment meant automatic harmony, but harmony is built, not assumed. It is nurtured through communication, accountability, and shared obedience. Chosen one, God's best still requires intention. This is why God has been shaping your character as much as your heart. Character determines how you respond when the excitement settles and real life begins. How you handle misunderstanding, how you navigate difference, how you protect unity without losing truth. The one God is aligning with you will not be perfect, but they will be committed. And commitment shows up in ordinary moments, choosing honesty over avoidance, patience over reaction, prayer over pride. Do not romanticize the union to the point where you ignore the work it requires. God is not giving you a fantasy to escape into. He is giving you a partnership to build with. Chosen one building is holy work. This is also where humility becomes essential. Divine alignment does not mean you are always right. It means you are willing to learn, willing to listen, willing to repent, willing to grow together. Pride fractures what alignment joins. God resists pride not because he is harsh, but because pride prevents growth. Humility keeps the door open for grace to move freely, and grace is what sustains covenant through seasons. There will be moments when past wounds try to resurface, not to destroy, but to be healed more deeply. Do not panic when vulnerability increases. Vulnerability is not weakness in covenant, it is invitation. Chosen one, safe love brings hidden things to light, not to shame them, but to heal them. This is why communication matters. Speak truth early. Speak gently. Speak honestly. Silence in the name of peace often creates distance later. True peace invites conversation, not avoidance. And here is something crucial. Do not expect the other person to be God for you. They are not your source. They are your companion. God remains the center. When God is the center, love stays balanced. When a person becomes the center, pressure begins. Chosen one, covenant thrives when God is first. This is why shared values matter more than shared preferences. Preferences change, values anchor, shared faith, shared direction, shared commitment to growth. These are the roots that withstand storms. Storms will come, not because something is wrong, but because life happens. Disagreement does not mean misalignment. It means two humans are learning how to love well. The question is not whether challenges arise. The question is how you respond to them. Do you retreat or lean in? Do you accuse or understand? Do you protect your ego or the relationship? Stewardship answers these questions before they are asked. Chosen one. God is trusting you with something that will shape not only your life, but others connected to you. This union carries influence, it carries legacy, it carries responsibility beyond romance. This is why prayer must remain central. Pray together, pray separately, pray honestly. Prayer keeps hearts soft, prayer keeps vision aligned. Prayer reminds you why this union exists beyond personal comfort. Do not stop praying just because the promise has arrived. Often people pray hardest in the waiting and least in the receiving. But receiving is when prayer becomes even more important. Gratitude fuels stewardship. Chosen one, protect what God gives you. Protect it from comparison. Protect it from outside noise. Protect it from unnecessary exposure. Not everything sacred needs to be shared publicly. Some things grow best in privacy. Remember, God often conceals before he reveals. Continued protection allows roots to deepen. And let me say this with clarity, if at any point peace begins to erode consistently, do not ignore it. Temporary discomfort is part of growth. Chronic unrest is a warning. Stewardship includes discernment throughout the journey, not just at the beginning. Chosen one. God's guidance does not expire once alignment begins. Stay teachable, stay prayerful, stay grounded. The union God is forming is not fragile, but it is valuable. Valuable things are cared for. They are not taken for granted. As you move forward, remember this. The same God who aligned you will continue to guide you if you remain surrendered. Covenant is not maintained by effort alone. It is maintained by grace, accessed through humility and obedience. Chosen one. This is not about perfection. It is about faithfulness. Not about constant emotion, but about consistent intention. not about fantasy, but about stewardship. And as you steward what God has entrusted to you, you will discover something beautiful. The deeper the responsibility, the deeper the joy. Stay grounded, stay grateful, stay faithful. What God has joined, He will also sustain if you walk with Him. Chosen one. This final movement is not about arrival, it is about understanding what has truly been entrusted to you. What God has been preparing, aligning and revealing is bigger than companionship. It is legacy, it is influence, it is purpose carried by two surrendered lives moving in the same direction. Many people think love is the end of the story. In God's design, love is the beginning of assignment. When heaven aligns two people, it is never only for their private happiness. It is for the good that will flow through them into families, communities, generations, and unseen places that will be touched by their obedience. This is why God has been so careful with timing. This is why the process was deep. This is why the preparation felt intense. Chosen one. What you are stepping into carries weight. Weight is not pressure, it is significance. This union is not meant to consume you, it is meant to commission you. Together you will steward peace, truth, provision, compassion, and wisdom in ways you could not have done alone. Where one of you is strong, the other will support. Where one grows weary, the other will intercede. This is how God builds resilience into covenant. I want you to hear this clearly. Legacy is built in ordinary faithfulness, not in dramatic moments, not in public applause, but in daily choices: how you speak, how you forgive, how you handle conflict, how you honor God when no one is watching. Legacy is formed in kitchens, not stages, in quiet prayers, not loud declarations, in choosing patience over pride, humility over control, obedience over ego. Chosen one. God is inviting you to think beyond romance. Think about the atmosphere your union creates. Think about the peace it releases. Think about the healing it models. Others will be affected by how you love. Children, whether physical or spiritual, will learn what safety looks like by watching you. People who lost hope may regain it through the stability they witness in your life. This is not accidental, this is intentional. This is why God was firm about removing counterfeits. Counterfeits could not carry legacy. They could create moments, but not momentum. They could offer affection, but not assignment. What God brings lasts because it is rooted in Him. There will be seasons of expansion and seasons of contraction, times where life feels full and times where it feels demanding. Do not interpret difficulty as failure. Legacy is often formed in seasons that test endurance. Chosen. One, endurance is holy. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always feel strong. But you will remain anchored because your foundation is not emotion, it is alignment. That alignment will hold when feelings fluctuate. And let me remind you of this truth: you are not meant to do this alone. Lean on God continually. Lean on one another wisely. Seek counsel when needed. Ask for help without shame. Strength does not mean self-sufficiency. Strength means knowing where to draw from. God never intended covenant to replace Him. He intended covenant to reflect Him. As you walk forward, keep your spiritual disciplines alive: prayer, gratitude, stillness. These are not habits for crisis, they are anchors for stability. When you stay connected to God, you stay connected to purpose. Chosen one, never stop inviting God into the relationship. Invite Him into decisions. Invite Him into finances. Invite Him into conflict. Invite Him into dreams. God does not intrude where He is not invited, but where He is welcomed, He multiplies. This is also where humility continues to matter. No matter how much clarity you gain, remain teachable. No matter how much success you see, remain grateful. Pride closes doors that obedience keeps open. Remember what God builds through humility, He sustains through grace. And when you look back months from now, years from now, you will see the pattern clearly. You will understand why certain things had to end, why certain seasons were quiet, why waiting was necessary. The clarity will not produce regret. It will produce gratitude. You will say, God knew what He was doing. Chosen one, you were never forgotten. You were never delayed. You were never overlooked. You were being prepared for something that required depth, maturity, and trust. Now, as you step forward, do so with confidence but not arrogance, with faith but not haste, with hope but not illusion. This is not fragile. This is not temporary. This is not coincidence. This is the manifestation of what heaven wrote long ago. And finally, hear this as a blessing over your life. May you steward love with wisdom. May you walk in peace without fear. May your union reflect God's goodness. May your legacy bring healing beyond your sight. Chosen one, heaven has been faithful, and now you walk forward in that faithfulness. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of what will last. Stay aligned, stay surrendered, stay faithful. Heaven is with you. Chosen one, as this message comes to rest, receive this final truth with your spirit. What was sealed is opening. What was hidden is being revealed. You are standing in your exact Kairos moment, your appointed time on heaven's clock. The scroll written for you is unfolding now, not by chance, but by divine design. Go forward in peace, anointed one. Stay aligned, stay faithful. Let gratitude guard your heart as what God has prepared begins to manifest. You are not late. You are right on time. If your spirit bears witness, you may quietly declare it in the comments and remain connected here for what heaven continues to release. Until we meet again, stay in position, stay surrendered, and remember, heaven is never late.